Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here with a showcasing of my Sonic the Sonic Keychain. So I've been doing some collectibles lately, thought this was a cool enough piece to make its own video about. So here it is, this is what it looks like. This is the Sonic the Sonic Keychain. So what a lot of people know is that there is a Sonic the plush set, and that set is, full-size plushes that encompass all the characters in the game. What a lot of people don't know is that there's this keychain set that has 6 different characters, and Sonic is one of them. So I'll talk about the keychain itself, and then I'll kind of talk about its history and rarity afterwards. So, for the most part, even though this isn't a full-size plush, I think this is a pretty good-looking Sonic keychain. Kind of like the old Mario plushes emit that kind of retro collectible feel. I feel like this Sonic keychain definitely does that as well. So, for the most part, everything is pretty well constructed. The eyes are stitched on to, the rest of, the body, as is the muzzle and the stomach. The eyes, or the pupils, I should say, in the mouth kind of feel different. I don't think they're actually stitched on fabric, but it feels more like they were pressed on. I can't exactly explain the type of material, but it's definitely a bit harder. Not exactly a plastic, but it's like a firm fabric. And the inside of these ears, they feel like the little skin-colored portion was another piece of fabric and it was glued on, and then the ear itself was stitched on, because you can see the seam line right about here. It goes kind of all the way across his head. The nose is just a thin piece of fabric that kind of just, it goes all over the place, but what can you really do about that? And the arms are also, they're thicker than the nose, but they're still kind of just, thin pieces of fabric. It is like 2 pieces stitched together to give it some depth, but it's not like super thick. He does have some cuffs on his gloves though, so that's pretty cool they added that in, but of course the glove has no fingers or anything, it's just a flat piece of fabric. The shoes I like though, because instead of just kind of pressing on this white, it actually is stitched onto the shoe, and it goes actually all the way around, which is interesting, because you think they would have cut it off at the seam, or I don't know, maybe put a bottom to the shoe on, but I guess maybe putting a bottom on would have been asking a little bit too much, because it's just a little keychain. And on the back, same thing with kind of the front, how these ears were kind of, the inside of the ears were kind of another fabric glued on. You can see that his other spikes are actually a darker blue than the rest of the keychain, but it is just a piece of fabric that's glued on, and same thing with the back spikes here. And the tail, actually, interestingly, isn't like the nose where it kind of, is outward. It's kind of just glued onto his back, so that's kind of interesting to note there. But the shape is kind of like two spikes, so 2, 4, 6, all 6 spikes and stuff. So it is accurate in that sense, so that's pretty cool. And of course, this little keychain, I think these are actually called mascots, though, not exactly keychains. In Japan, I think they're called mascots. So, you could obviously pop this out, and then you could clip it onto something else, so this does come apart. But it's just more or less a, it looks like it was just glued on, but it's really tight. I don't think, like, you would have to really try to rip this out. It's not like it's going to fall out if you just have it hanging on something. And I want to show off the tag, too, because I think tags are pretty interesting. So, I'm assuming that says Sonic the Fighter, Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what it looks like to me. And then copyright Sega 1996. And the back is a little bit interesting because it says the same thing, Sega 1996, but it says 6. And there are 6 different characters to this set. There's Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, SPO, and Fang. So I wonder if that says like 6 to collect, or 6 different characters or something. And obviously it was made in China. Oh, and he does have these cuffs on his legs as well. And the legs are pretty much the same as the arms, kind of that. They're flat, but they're thick enough where they're not just like a piece of fabric. So, and my keychain kind of has one of the legs going in reverse, but maybe it was just laying like that for so long, because these are really old, 1996, so maybe it was just laying like that for so long that, it never really flattened out. But that's okay, because I kind of have him sitting down anyway. You don't really notice it when he's sitting down. So pretty much how I got mine, and the rarity of the set and this character in particular, way back a long time ago when Anime Mate was still an online store. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Their site actually just went down recently. They had all the Sonic the Fighters, like the main plushes, up there for a long time. Of course, I was never able to afford them because they were a lot of money. But when they had the keychains in stock, I thought that was really cool because, well, first off, at that point I hadn't seen the keychains, but they were affordable. This Sonic, I believe, was like $34.95, which I thought was really reasonable, and I wanted some kind of piece of merchandise from Sonic the Fighter, so I decided to buy it right away. And I'm kind of kicking myself now because those keychains were up there for a long time. They even discounted them quite a bit. to the point where I remember Knuckles was, I think, $20, and I was too cheap to buy Knuckles. I really wish I bought more. Characters like SPO, from what I recall, even at their discounted price, were like $60 to $80, so that was a little bit too much for me. So all the rest of the set was in stock for a long time, except the Sonic, which, like I said, I bought right away, and I don't think they ever restocked on the Sonic. But then there came a point where they put all the rest of the characters on eBay, and at that point I had lost them all because I was hoping that no one was going to, like, maybe see the SPO one or whatever, or Knuckles would have stayed below 20. But at that point, they were all on eBay. Everybody bid them up to the point where I couldn't afford them. So Sonic was the only one I got. And in terms of rarity nowadays, these aren't super rare to the point that you'd never be able to find them. Well, I could argue some characters are. I don't know if I've ever seen an SPO or a Fang up for auction. Then again, I haven't actively been looking for them, but in my casual searches over the past few years, I don't recall ever really seeing them. But for the most part, as a whole, I wouldn't say these are rare to the point that you're never going to find them, but they definitely don't pop up very often. In terms of Sonic himself, I've seen a couple Sonic ones. There was a buy it now a few weeks ago, I believe, for $135 from the UK, and someone has this Sonic bundled with the main plush from the set for like, I don't know, like $400 or something on eBay right now. But it would definitely take quite a bit of effort to search up any of these characters and find them for either a decent price or just in general. I think Amy is probably the most common, followed by Tails, and I would say maybe Sonic, Knuckles, Fang, and then SPO is definitely the rarest, I would say. So, glad I got this one I did, because I definitely either wouldn't be able to afford one now or wouldn't be able to find one, so without a doubt one of the rarest pieces of Sonic merchandise in my collection, so I'm glad that I have it, and of course he sits on top of, you know, all the other Sonic plushes and stuff, so a really nice piece. Thanks for watching, guys. That was it, just this small little showcasing of this Sonic the Fighter's Sonic Mascot. So until the next collectible video or video in general, Finn.